In today's episode of Locked On NBA, I'm going to be talking to the host of the Locked On 76ers podcast, Serena Winters, about Tyrese Maxey, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. It's all coming up. Stick around.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another week of Locked On NBA. I am your Monday host, Josh Lloyd. I'm also the host at the Locked On Fantasy Basketball channel, so check me out over there. Also, thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen or first watch here on YouTube every day. We really do appreciate that. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Have you heard about it? It is daily fantasy made easy. With PrizePicks, it's the best NBA DFS prize prop market out there. It's the best one on the market. It's not just the superstar players. It's also the guys getting low minutes. So you can get anyone you want and stick them into an entry. What you do, you get 4 to 5 players. You pick their over-under props on points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, fantasy points, whatever you want. Combine them into an entry, and you can win up to 10 times your entry fee. And it doesn't just have to be basketball. You can combine multiple sports into one entry. And when you go to sign up, use our promo code NBA. You get a 100% match deposit bonus up to $100. That's awesome. Great way to start things out. So, PrizePicks, easy to enter, 60 seconds or less to get the entry in. Withdrawals, when you do win, and I'm sure you're going to win, you're going to get really fast, really safe withdrawals there too. So head to prizepicks.com or use their award-winning app. Use our promo code NBA to get that deposit match bonus to begin things. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Okay, so let's bring in now the new host of the Locked On 76ers podcast, Serena Winters. Welcome to Locked On NBA.
Thanks, Josh. Great to be here. Love serving up content to Sixers fans, and it's great to be part of the Locked On Network.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about with the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's start with probably the biggest positive, I guess, to come out of this season where there's been so much weird stuff going on behind the scenes. But Tyrese Maxey has looked awesome as the starting point guard for the Sixers. He's on a massive hot streak at the moment. It doesn't appear like he can really miss at any point. He's sort of carrying this team through the absences of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid at the moment. The play of Tyrese Maxey here to begin this season, do you think that it's changed any of the calculations in terms of what Daryl Morey would be looking for in a Simmons return, or make them more comfortable with sitting Ben Simmons out with just how well he's been playing?
I think it has to, because you have a guy, like you said, the one bright spot so far of the Sixers season has really been his development. And I think the Sixers knew the potential of Tyrese Maxey, but no one expected the production that he is giving to be sustainable this soon for this long. You know, if you watch the NBA playoffs last season, you got to see in the last playoff series, you got to see Tyrese Maxey, but at the same time, you didn't know if that was sustainable for play this season. The fact that it has been has to at some point change your way of thinking a little bit, right? Or make you, like you said, a little more likely to wait it out, sit it out a little while, because you are seeing what you're getting from Tyrese. At this point, it doesn't feel like you have to be so much in a hurry for the Tyrese role, as an example, right? The point guard role. Yes, though, the Sixers still need bodies. They still need perimeter shooting. So there's still a huge need. I feel like the Sixers have to get something done. But Maxey has been such a huge bright spot. And without him, I mean, I don't know how they would even be playing some of these games.
Yeah, they wouldn't be anywhere near where they are without him at the moment. They're currently hanging around in the playoff picture.
He's shooting 52% right now from the field. I mean, 42.1% from three. And he's the thing I love the most about him, Josh, and I'm sure you've noticed this, is, look, there's guys in this league where they shy away from the contact. They'll do anything not to draw the foul. This kid is the opposite. He is so comfortable in contact, drawing contact. It's almost like he feeds off that contact. And I think that's what's really made him so much fun to watch and made his game so valuable.
Yeah, he's super fun. Like, that's the thing. You watch him, you see the enthusiasm, the passion, the speed, the aggression, all he shows. It's been great. And one of the things we've always heard about with Ben Simmons' potential trades, well, they'll need to get a point guard back. But again, that changes the calculus now, where you go, okay, could Maxey be a fill-in guy? But now you look at it and go, no, he's actually like an NBA starting caliber point guard, so we can just get whatever the package is that suits what we need on the perimeter, getting perimeter bodies in there versus we have a guaranteed defined need for a point guard. That is going to be really interesting to see how this does change the end result in terms of a return for Ben Simmons. But let's talk about that Ben Simmons issue. We had some rumors last week from former host of Locked On 76ers, Keith Pompey, saying that there was a discussion perhaps that the Philadelphia Sixers were interested in James Harden. I don't think we need to worry too much about that one, just because I don't think the Nets are doing it for a start. But there was an interesting Jeremy Grant one. Of course, he started his career in Philadelphia. What have you heard in terms of perhaps the Pistons engaging on that? Is there any hope of maybe Sacramento changing their tune now with the firing of Luke Walton? Who do you think is in the lead in the Simmons sweepstakes, or more maybe is the Jeremy Grant one, is there any momentum towards a move like that?
Let's start with the Detroit Jeremy Grant one. I don't think that there's really any momentum there. I mean, with the people that I've talked to, yes, the Pistons did engage in talks with the Sixers, but this was not, this week. This was not something that was recent. And they did engage in talks about Grant. But from the people that I've talked to, this is not something that the Sixers are currently interested in. Then you go to the Kings side of things. This, I think, is very interesting because you have Luke Walton, who just got fired on Sunday from Sacramento. Before that, you have the Kings saying that they don't want to give up a guy like De'Aaron Fox or like Tyrese Halliburton in a trade, right? That those are kind of the guys off limits. Well, if you're the Sixers and you're looking at the roster, those are the guys that you want, right? You want either a young guy with great potential if you can't get that all-star player, or you want a guy like De'Aaron Fox. And now that Luke Walton's been fired, I think that that's kind of the first domino to fall in the trade talks. And I think that this is probably what Daryl Morey is talking about when he's saying that it's a waiting game, because things change when you fire a head coach, and the guys that potentially were no longer off limits could potentially be on limits, right? So I think that there could potentially be, moving forward, some momentum to these Kings-Sixers trade talks. And if the Sixers can't get, an all-star right now caliber guy, I would think that Morey would be more open to a younger guy like Halliburton, as an example, that you have much more long-term potential with, but that you can also pair alongside Joel Embiid right now, because he's a phenomenal combo guard.
He is, but that takes us to the next part of this, Serena. Joel Embiid. We haven't seen him since the 6th of November. We are currently recording this on the 21st of November. What's the latest? When is Joel scheduled to return from his bout with COVID?
Well, right now he does not have a scheduled date to return, unfortunately. The Sixers have not ruled him out for this road trip. However, from my experience in covering the team, I don't see where it makes sense that they would fly him out to maybe play the last game of the road trip when the Sixers are going to be back home. What is it? Something like the 27th, something like that.
Yeah, next Saturday.
So to me, it makes much more sense for them to wait that one out, because also Joel Embiid isn't Tobias Harris. He isn't Matisse Thybulle. He's a guy that has to really, really, really work on his conditioning to get to that level. And we all know what the side effects of COVID are. So to me, to fly him out to make a game on this road trip, even if he has the 2 negative tests for COVID, which we have not heard that he has, that to me seems pretty unlikely. So I would guess, but that's just a guess for me, that it's not until the Sixers are back at home.
Yeah, that would make sense. It wouldn't make a huge amount of even logistical sense to fly him out for that one game against the Warriors on Wednesday, even if he's ready to go, because again, he's going to play limited minutes. He has to reintegrate to practice and get conditioning up, and then having that full week to prepare to come back on the Saturday. I think would make a hell of a lot of sense. The Sixers have somehow kept their season afloat without Embiid, without Thibault, without Green, without Harris, without Simmons, and getting all these guys back over the next couple of weeks is going to be key for them to push back up to the top of the Eastern Conference. Of course, Serena, you'll have it covered for us all over on the Locked On 76ers podcast, and people can go and check you out over there. Thank you for coming on Locked On NBA, and I'm sure we'll talk to you more in the future.
Sounds good, Josh. Thanks for having me.